Woodland, Bosque. In the distant past, Malta was probably largely covered with woodland of some kind. But when man arrived 7,000 years ago, he gradually cut them all down, as people cleared the land for agriculture and pasture, and used the wood for cooking fires. All the trees we see today, except maybe 2 or 3 tiny groves, were planted by people in much more recent times. Busquet, our oldest man-made wood, is less than 500 years old. Still, some of the recent woodlands are slowly becoming naturalized, and they too can attract wildlife and become rich in biodiversity, not least Foresta El Fain, BirdLife's very own woodland project. Woodland is called Bosque in Maltese. Robin, Peter Ross. It is easy to see why the robin is so well known and well loved. It is small and chubby, has a striking orange breast, and can be quite bold and approachable. It lives in gardens, parks, and woodlands, singing lustily from its perch in the trees. Why do robins sing so much? The reason is because they are very territorial, and robins sing to proclaim their property. Unlike starlings and sparrows, robins don't do things in groups. They prefer to defend the territory for themselves, and in this way secure enough land where to find enough food, especially if a pair are raising a family. Robins do not nest in Malta, as the weather gets too hot and dry for them in summer. However, they visit in October and stay throughout the winter, so we still get to hear their lovely song in our woodlands for 6 months of the year. Weasel, Ballotra. The weasel is the only carnivorous land mammal in the Maltese Islands. It is very hard to see weasels, as they are shy of people and have secretive habits. They are avid predators of rodents, rabbits, and nestlings. Weasels are scarce and should be treasured where they occur. Contrary to what many people think, weasels pose no threat to humans. Indeed, they are excellent rodent control agents, and they are in fact protected by law. Pictures give the impression of a cat-sized animal, but the weasel is actually little longer than a pen. Marsh harrier, Badan Ahmar. Marsh harriers are birds of prey that look like small eagles. In Malta, we see them only on migration. Marsh harriers are not really woodland birds. They prefer reed beds and marshy places. But during their long migration journeys south or north, they often stop over in Malta for an overnight sleep in the pines and oaks at Busquet, or the pine plantation at Mizib. On a late September afternoon, it is a great spectacle to see a flock of 30 or more marsh harriers circling over Busquet, waiting for dusk so that they can land in the trees and rest. In the morning, they take off again as the day warms up and continue their journey. Ivy, Ledna. The ivy is an expert climbing plant. It has special sticky roots that sprout from its stems, which cement it to vertical walls or tree trunks. In a woodland, there are 3 levels of vegetation: the tall trees with the canopy of leaves at the top, the undergrowth at the bottom, and the climbers and creepers taking up the middle part. The ivy climbs from the ground all the way up to the canopy, thus creating a corridor for small creatures to travel up or down trees under cover of the thick foliage that never dries out and falls. A mature ivy is an entire habitat in itself, with creatures that never leave their patch of ivy throughout their lives. Others, like small birds, gorge on the ivy berries, which are poisonous to humans, and then move on. Climbers like ivy should never be removed in a woodland habitat, as this will destroy a vital part of woodland ecosystems. Aleppo pine, Znoober. This is one of the most characteristic trees of our woodlands. The Aleppo pine bears its fruit in the shape of cones, so well loved by teachers for craft activities. A pine cone takes 3 years to form before it opens and releases its seeds. If you are under pine in summer, you may hear a cracking noise from overhead as the sun's heat opens the ripe cones. The seeds will then slip out of the cone and spiral to the ground, borne by the wing on each seed. The resin that runs in the pine, and which gives the tree its fresh piney smell, protects it from disease and insect pests, but it also renders the tree vulnerable to fire. Unlike some other Mediterranean trees, the Aleppo pine will not recover after a forest fire. Holm oak, or evergreen oak, Balluta. A small number of majestic holm oaks at Wardia are close to 1,000 years old, which makes them among the oldest living things in Malta. The holm oak is tough and can survive the dry conditions of our islands, and its rough trunk makes a good habitat for mini-beasts. In Mediterranean woodlands, the holm oak is a dominant tree. Its wide canopy of evergreen leaves give great shelter to birds and other wildlife, and its large acorns are great food stores for squirrels, though not in Malta, birds and insects. In afforestation projects like Foresta 2000, planting oaks is a good idea, as they are great for biodiversity. Acorns are easy to germinate, even by children, and make a great lesson on how seeds grow.